Well, howdy there. Good folks of Overton County. Gather round, pull up a rocker on the porch.
Yeah, it's good to be back with y'all.
It sure is. Now, if you're anything like us, living here, in this beautiful part of Tennessee,
With the lake shining and the hills rolling.
yeah, on out past Livingston and up towards Jamestown, life has a rhythm.
Yeah.
Work, family.
Maybe a hymn or two on Sunday.
Right. But, ain't there sometimes that little something else that kind of tugs at your spirit?
Oh, yeah. That's a feeling I reckon a lot of us know. That sort of quiet, knowing that there's more going
A
on.
deeper current, maybe, under the surface.
Exactly.
And, well, that's exactly what we're fixing to talk about today. We're going to take a deep dive into the journey of this remarkable fella, Baba Ram Dass.
His path. Boy, it took some turns you wouldn't believe.
It sure did. And we've got a good pile of his talks and, some writings from folks thinking about his life to help us out.
Yeah, different perspectives on it all.
And what we want to do, really, is just see what we can pull out of it.
Yeah.
Maybe find something that kind of lights up our path right here from Birdstown over to Ohlone.
Without getting bogged down in, overly complicated stuff.
That's the plan. See if we can find some wisdom that speaks plain.
And what's so, compelling is how human he was about it all.
Yeah.
Grappling with the big questions, just like us.
Even with all the wild experiences he had. All right, let's jump in. We'll start back when he first went to India, met his guru, Maharaj-ji.
Okay.
Now, Ram Dass, he said himself he felt like he was carrying this heavy load, called him his impurities.
Felt like he wasn't good enough, basically.
Yeah, it just wasn't measuring up.
Yeah.
So he goes right up to Maharaj-ji, bold as brass,
Yeah.
and asks him, point blank, save me.
What? Just like that.
Just like that. And Maharaj-ji, this wise old soul, he just looks at him and says, real simple, you will be well.
Not you are well, but you will be.
Exactly. So it
Yeah.
wasn't like an instant magic wand kind of thing.
No, more like a promise, wasn't it? A promise of a journey towards getting better, towards wholeness.
Yeah, gradual thing. Being well was something down the road.
Suggests that, spiritual growth isn't always this sudden zap. It's a process.
Right. So time goes by, as it does, and Ram Dass is still feeling pretty burdened, the same old stuff.
The promise hadn't quite materialized yet in his mind.
Not yet. So he kind of gently reminds Maharaj-ji, hey, remember that promise? And the guru he just chuckles a bit.
Gurgles.
Yeah, strokes his beard, kind of twinkles, and just says it again. You will be.
Patient, wasn't he?
Seems like it. Took about a year and a half, Ram Dass said, before Maharaj-ji started kind of nudging him, suggesting maybe it was time to head back to America.
Oh, okay.
But Ram Dass, he's still feeling like, no way, I'm not ready, I'm still a mess. Pleaded to stay.
Didn't feel well yet.
Not at all. But Maharaj-ji, instead of arguing or explaining, he just hands him a mango.
Mango, just a piece of fruit.
Just a mango.
Okay, there's got to be more to that. What's the deal with the mango?
Well, Ram Dass kind of got fixated on it. It wasn't just fruit, it felt like a symbol, maybe. But instead of a clear answer, he gets this mango.
And his mind probably went wild, trying to figure it out.
Oh, absolutely. He's thinking, what do I do with this? He even thought about planting the seed, growing more mangoes to give away,
See, even on this big spiritual quest, the ego pops up, wanting to, control things, make plans.
Totally. He hid it in the bathroom, didn't want anyone else to see it, thought about eating the seed, hoping for some kind of miracle power.
Did anything happen?
Nope. Nothing spectacular, just a mango. But then later, he's talking to another devotee, still worried sick about going back home.
Still worried about messing things up.
Yeah, worried he'd lead people astray in America. And this other fellow shares something really surprising Maharaj-ji had apparently said about Ram Dass.
Oh, what was that?
He said Maharaj-ji told him he'd never let you do anything wrong in America.
Yo, okay, how did Ram Dass take that?
Well, see, at first he took it as like a free pass, a cosmic hall pass. You put it well.
Go ahead, do whatever you want. I got your back karmically.
Exactly. He thought Maharaj-ji was going to somehow, absorb all the negative consequences.
It's a tempting thought, isn't it? That kind of freedom.
Sure is. But it led him down some paths where he really had to face his own stuff, his own desires, his shortcomings.
Right. Because that kind of thinking that someone else will clean up my mess idea, that ain't real freedom, is it?
Not in the long run. It gets real interesting here. He kind of figured he could just coast, maybe indulge a bit.
But it didn't work out like that.
No. What he found was the people he met back in the States. Their sincerity, their real, honest yearning for something deeper.
Ah, so their seeking kind of pulled him up.
Yeah. It was like their pure intention demanded something real from him. It drew him towards, higher states, more
Sort of
authenticity.
mirror, maybe.
Yeah.
Showing him what was genuine in himself versus the fluff.
That's a good way to put it. Like a mirror. Now, this connects to that idea of Guru Kripa, the guru's grace.
Right, the grace of the teacher.
Ram Dass started seeing it wasn't just about like following rules or hanging on to every word the guru said.
It's deeper than that.
Yeah, you got to find that connection inside yourself. He put it like learning to fish instead of just being handed a fish.
Makes sense. The grace helps you learn to fish for yourself.
Right. So Guru Kripa, it's not just a blessing feeling. It's more like an energy, something that can speed things up, spiritually speaking.
A catalyst.
Yeah, a catalyst. But you still got to do the work. It empowers you, but it don't do it for you.
That really hits home, doesn't it? Personal responsibility on the path.
Mm.
The guide helps awaken the guide inside you.
Couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
And talk about mixing the spiritual and the everyday.
Uh-huh.
Oh, boy. Ram Dass tells this story.
Yeah.
He's trying super hard to meditate, focus on the third eye, and Maharaj-ji's nearby, just kind of being playful, doing little things, maybe distracting him on purpose.
Classic Maharaj-ji from what I hear. Testing him.
Totally. Ram Dass is trying to ignore it all, stay focused, and then boom, he feels this incredible rush of energy. Shakti, he called it.
Wow, like a breakthrough.
Yeah, going deep into meditation, feeling all cosmic and expanded, I reckon.
Uh-huh.
And right then, right at that peak moment, Maharaj-ji snaps him out of it.
Yeah.
Asks him how much money some fellow named Stephen was making.
No way. Just like that. Pulled him right back down to earth.
Yep. Talk about a reality check.
That's brilliant in a way. Cuts right through any spiritual ego, any attachment to that high state.
Keeps you grounded, right?
Yeah.
And reminds you that, the spiritual stuff is real, but so is paying the bills, so is everyday life.
It's all part of it. You can't just float off and forget the practical stuff. Prevents getting too high and mighty about your experiences.
Shows how it's all tangled together, don't it? This high-flying spiritual quest and just plain living life, maybe right here in Overton County.
Okay, so Maharaj-ji eventually leaves his body, passes on.
Right. A huge loss for Ram Dass, obviously. Yeah. You'd figure that's the end of that kind of direct guidance, right? The main line's gone quiet.
Yeah, you'd think the connection would change, become more internal, maybe?
But then something really unexpected happens.
Yeah.
Takes a wild turn. In Brooklyn, New York, of all places.
Brooklyn? Not exactly Rishikesh.
Not at all. And the source of this guidance?
Yeah.
A woman. And let's just say she didn't fit the mold of a typical guru.
Yeah, so?
Well, Ram Dass described her. Long eyelashes, wearing a low-cut dress. Not the usual image,
Definitely challenges your expectations of what a spiritual teacher looks like. Sets you up for something different.
For sure. So their first meeting is down in this basement. She's sitting there, totally still, deep in samadhi, that meditative state.
Okay, so far so mystical.
Right. Then she just snaps out of it, opens her eyes, looks right at Ram Dass, and says, she says, "What the heck do you want?"
Whoa, seriously. Talk about cutting through the bowl.
Yeah. No gentle introductions there, just bam.
Yeah.
Direct. Honest.
Raw, unfiltered. Forces you to be real right back, I bet. No room for pretense.
Exactly. But here's where it gets even stranger. Almost unbelievable.
Go on.
Maharaj-ji starts speaking through her.
Through the Brooklyn woman.
Like she's channeling him.
Yeah.
And she's talking about tiny details from Ram Dass's time in India with Maharaj-ji. Stuff there's no way she could know.
Like what kind of details?
Like exactly where they kept the rice in the temple kitchen back in Kineji. Super specific stuff.
Wow. Okay, that makes you stop and think, doesn't it? About how consciousness works, how spirit connects.
It really does. Makes you wonder about the veil between worlds, how guidance can come through. The specificity makes it hard to just dismiss,
Yeah, it's not just vague pronouncements, it's concrete details.
And it wasn't only Maharaj-ji she channeled. Sometimes she'd bring through this other voice, someone named Jethro.
Jethro?
Yeah. And this Jethro voice would deliver beautiful poetry, deep teachings, all coming through this woman who, on the outside, seemed, pretty ordinary.
It's that reminder again, isn't it? Wisdom pops up where you least expect it.
Could be your neighbor down in Alpine, or that friendly lady at the Save-A-Lot over in Cookville, or someone up towards the Dale Hollow Marina. You just never know.
That potential is everywhere, not just in special robes or far-off places.
Ram Dass called this whole Brooklyn experience a tantric teaching.
Tantric? How so?
Because he was right there watching her navigate these incredibly high spiritual states while also dealing with everyday life, being a wife, a mom.
The integration, not separating the spiritual from the mundane.
Exactly. He told these funny stories like she'd be deep in channeling Socrates or something.
Socrates.
Yeah. And then she'd suddenly remember she left the frying pan on the stove, burning the food. Or her kid would wander in asking where his underwear was.
Oh, that's amazing. It brings it right down to earth.
Doesn't it? It's about being present, grounded, right in the middle of all the chaos and the beauty, finding the sacred in the ordinary.
That's a core tantric idea, right? Not escaping the world, but finding enlightenment right smack dab in the middle of it. The humor makes it so relatable.
It really does. Now, through all this, Ram Dass himself, he was always quick to say, hey, I'm not enlightened. I'm just one of you.
Yeah, he maintained that humility, didn't he?
He did, called it apparent honesty. Which makes you pause, don't it?
Well,
Was it just genuine humbleness?
Or
Or did that very honesty, that vulnerability, maybe draw people in even more? Make him seem more approachable, more real?
that's a really interesting point. Probably a bit of both, I'd guess. Sincere self-awareness, but also, yeah, it creates connection. People feel like he gets it, he struggles too.
Makes you think about what real authenticity is. Then there was his time at a Zen retreat. Sounds like it was pretty intense.
Zen retreats usually are. Lots of discipline.
Oh, yeah. Strict schedule, sitting for hours, even getting whacked with a stick if your posture slumped or your mind wandered too much.
The Kiyosaku stick, yeah, to wake you up.
And get this, Leonard Cohen was apparently at the same retreat.
Leonard Cohen. Wow. Small world, even in a Zen monastery.
Right. But Ram Dass's big breakthrough there, it wasn't some, complex philosophical insight he figured out.
No. What was it?
It was simpler. After struggling and striving, he just let go. He encountered the Roshi, the head teacher, one morning and just offered a simple, sincere, "Good morning, Roshi."
Just a genuine human connection.
Exactly. In that moment of just letting go of the effort, of surrendering to the present, something shifted for him, bypassed all the mental gymnastics.
Sometimes the biggest breakthroughs come when you stop trying so hard, right? When the ego gives up.
Seems that way.
Yeah.
And he often talked about the whole spiritual journey being like a roller coaster.
Ups and downs.
Big time. One minute you feel all holy and connected like you're floating. The next, bam, you're down in the dumps feeling like a total mess, lost.
That's incredibly relatable.
Yeah.
And honest.
Yeah. But the key thing, he said, was just to keep on. Keep riding the coaster. Hold on through the highs and the lows. Don't jump off just because it gets bumpy.
Perseverance and maybe some self-compassion during the down parts. It normalizes the struggle, which is really helpful.
It really is.
Yeah.
Okay, one more key moment. Ram Dass was heading back to India again. This is after his time teaching at Naropa Institute. He was feeling kind of lost, uncertain about his path again.
Even after all those experiences, still moments of doubt.
Still human, right. So he's in a motel room in Pennsylvania, of all places, just a regular motel.
Okay. Not exactly a sacred grove.
Not at all. And he has this crystal clear vision of Maharaj-ji right there in the motel room.
Wow. What did Maharaj-ji say or do in the vision?
He told him, plain as day, that his, Ram Dass's teachings, would be in America, not India.
Whoa. A clear redirection. Stay put, basically.
Exactly. Guidance coming through when maybe he least expected it in the most ordinary setting.
That's powerful. Suggests that guidance, that connection, it's not limited to specific places or states of mind. It can find you anywhere.
Might find you sitting on your own porch watching the sunset paint the sky over the Cumberland Plateau, you know.
Precisely. If
Yeah.
we just keep our eyes and hearts open to it, the sacred is woven into the fabric of everything.
So, bringing it all back home.
Yeah.
What's the takeaway for us, for you folks listening right here in Overton County?
Well, maybe it's about looking for that spirit, that magic, not just in, grand gestures, but in the everyday stuff.
In the people you meet. Maybe at the general store in Standing Stone, or down by the river in Wilder. In the familiar places, the quiet moments.
From Livingston to Birdstown, yeah. And connecting that to the bigger picture, maybe that deep yearning we feel.
That pull toward something more.
Maybe we don't need to go halfway across the world to find it. Maybe the seeds for it are right here, right now, in our own lives.
That longing is real, ain't it? And maybe, just maybe, the answers, or at least the next steps, are closer than we think.
It kind of invites you, doesn't it, to just be more aware, more receptive to what's already here within you and around you.
Think about those times, maybe small moments, when things just kind of click. You feel connected, you feel that little spark of something bigger.
Hold on to those. Notice them.
Yeah. And remember, even the folks who seem like they got it all figured out, like Ram Dass sometimes seemed,
Hmm.
they're probably riding that same roller coaster as the rest of us.
That honesty he had about his own struggles, his own imperfections, that resonates, I think. It gives us permission to be human on our own path.
It sure does. Now, we'd be mighty grateful to hear what kind of sparked something in you during this deep dive.
Yeah, what resonated?
Head on over to the comments section, share your thoughts. We'd love to hear them. And if you found something valuable today, something that touched your heart,
Please give it a like and hit that subscribe button.
yep, that way you won't miss our next exploration. We got more deep dives coming, just for y'all right here in Tennessee.
And maybe, just maybe, this whole conversation encourages you to look at your own life, your own journey, with a little more curiosity, maybe a little less judgment.
See the learning in the unexpected places.
Exactly.
All right, as we wrap up for today, let's hold this thought close. May all beings everywhere be happy and free.
Amen to that.
And a real heartfelt thank you, a shout out across the ethers to Baba Ram Dass for sharing his wild, honest journey with us all. May his wisdom keep sparking light in our lives.